Hello! In today's video, we're going to be discussing the iconic fingerstyle technique known as Travis picking. We'll learn what it is, how we can do it on an ukulele, and we'll even learn a little bit of a chord melody arrangement of Waltzing Matilda, with the intro sounding kind of like this using the technique. So to start, we need to think, what exactly is Travis picking? Well, it's originally a technique developed for the guitar by Merle Travis, and it sort of creates a one guitar duet type of feel because the thumb is going to be playing a bass part, alternating between strings, and then the other fingers play the treble strings to create kind of melodies and flesh out the chords in different ways. The thing is, it was developed for guitar, which is a 4-octave 6-string instrument, and we're playing the ukulele, which is a 2-octave 4-string instrument. So how do we go about doing it? Well, it's actually a little bit easier than you might think. Let's go ahead and start by learning my favorite way to adapt this technique. What we're going to do is start with a G chord. Index finger here on the 2nd fret of the C string, ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the E string, and middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the A string. Now we're going to take our thumb on our playing hand. We're going to set it on the C string. I like to do about a 45-degree angle to the string, right about where the fretboard meets the sound hole. And I'm going to pluck my C string there, and then I'm going to move the thumb to the G and pluck that. And I'm going to alternate back and forth here, going between the C and the G. C, G. And what I'm doing here is I'm playing my lower string in the C first, and then the G, the higher, creating this nice little bass line. Now, if you're playing a low G ukulele, you might want to flip it. You can play your G first and then your C to do your low, then your high string. But all that we're doing is creating this nice little bass type of sound, walking back and forth. And with the tab here, we're just playing it on each beat. So if we count this, it's very simply just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's really all there is to it with the thumb, which is kind of neat because all that we need to do is get comfortable on each one of these beats, plucking the thumb, alternating between the C and G strings. Let's go ahead and take a look at it now with the chords for Waltzing Matilda. So we're going to start with that G chord that we introduced, and we're going to do this for 2 beats, meaning we're going to play the 2 on the C and then the 0 on the G. Then we're going to switch to a D chord. To play this D chord, there's a couple different ways you can do it. The way that most people do it is index finger here on the 2nd fret of the G string, middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the C string, and ring finger here on the 2nd fret of the E string. This works great. You can also, if you're comfortable with it, play it with just your index finger and leave the A string open. Whatever is easier for you is totally great right now. And we're going to play 2 beats of this, which means we'll play our C string and then our G string. This time our G string playing the 2nd fret instead of the open it did a moment ago. Now I understand that we're fretting whole chords, but we're only playing the G and the C. It's very important to fret the whole chord right now because it leads to being able to play the melody later. So just trust me, full chords right now, even though we're only playing a couple of the notes. And then after we played that D chord, we then go to an E minor chord. Play that, the ring finger here on the 4th fret of the C string, middle finger here to the 3rd fret of the E, index here on the 2nd fret of the A. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to play the C string and then the G string with our thumb kind of going back and forth. Then we go to the C chord, and to play that, really simple, we're going to just play all open. You'll notice when we play the melody why we're doing this, but for right now, we just leave the ukulele open, play the C string and then the G string. Going on to the 3rd measure here, we play our G chord again, which is the first chord we learned, and we do it for 4 beats this time. So we go, and then we go to our D chord, the 2nd chord we learned for this, and we do that for 4 beats now. So some chord changes are here. This can be a little bit tricky. I'm going to go ahead and play it, and I want you to try to play along if you're comfortable with these chords. Feel free to pause the video and practice these chords if you need the extra help. So it should sound something like this, played nice and slow in time. I'm going to count us in. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice I played the D each way just to get some practice. It doesn't really matter too much yet which way D chord you play, but That's Travis picking in a nutshell, right? And that's pretty much all there is to it, right? Well, not quite. That's just the bass part. And what's cool about this is when we start to combine that bass part, that very simple line, with something more complex, like a melody. So here's what the melody now looks like when we're playing Waltzing Matilda. So let's go ahead and try playing this together and learning it. But there's a really important step, and that is we want to be using our index finger here on our E string and our middle finger here on our A string. And we want to kind of station those fingers on those strings. The thumb is alternating between the G and the C. The index is playing the E, and the middle here on the A. And you'll notice that the chords that we're playing are the same sort of chords. We might have to adapt a little bit, but starting here, we're going to play that same G chord. Just now, we're going to play the melody, the 2 on the A 4 times. I'm just going to take my middle finger here and play that. From here, we go to our D chord and play the open A string twice. Just like with doing the Travis picking, it's really important to fret the full chord, even though we're not playing all the notes yet. So the first measure of going into the next measure here, the E minor, fret that same thing. We're going to play the 3 on the E now with the index finger. Then we take off the index on the fretting hand for that open A, add it back on for 2, play the 3 on the E with the index. Then we're going to go to the C chord, which remember I actually said was just all open, right? So when we're playing this all open, we're going to use our index finger on the E string, and then we're going to play 2 on the E and 3 on the E, using our index and middle fingers. From here, we go back to our G chord. So we fret that full chord, and we're going to pluck the 2 on the C. Now this is going to be our thumb. And I know that's what the Travis picking is doing. We'll notice what this really entails in a moment here. Then we're going to pluck the 3 on the E, index finger there, 2 on the A, middle finger. And then we add to our G chord, we add this 5 with our pinky finger, stretch it up there. If you have to take the finger off, it's okay. It's preferred to try to leave it on as best as you can. And then we're going to play the 5 on the A 2 more times. Going into the last measure here, we're going to go to our D chord, but we are playing a little bit different of a D chord because we need this 5 on the A for our melody. So the way we're going to play our D chord here at measure 8 is we bar all the way across the 2nd fret with our index finger, and we have this pinky finger here on the 5 on the A. We're going to play that, just 5A. Then we play 3 on the A, take your middle finger, place it here. Still leaving that bar in play, take the middle finger off, play the 2. And then for the open A, the very last note listed here, we can go back to our 3-finger version of it. Or if you're comfortable with that 1-finger version with the A string being open, you can do that as well. So a lot of notes here. It's a good idea to practice these individually. You can pause the video, rewind. Should sound something like this though, at a nice slow pace. Feel free to try to play along with me as well. Should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now again, I'm fretting the full chord, yet I'm not playing all of the notes. And that's because I'm sort of future-proofing what I'm doing here. I'm going to make it easy to be able to layer in more pieces. So now we've worked on the Travis picking, and now we also have the melody, right? So now that we have both of those, let's combine the two. And it's going to look something like this. Now what you've noticed is I've got the same parts that we did before now just on one piece of tab. And you'll notice that I actually color-coded these to try to help differentiate them. What we have here is the melody in red and the Travis picking in blue. So this can really help separate our brains when we're working through it. If you look back in the video or at the PDF, which is available on my Patreon page, you can see how it's just the same things stacked together. So with that first measure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my thumb here on the C string. I'm going to have my fingers here on the E and A, just like I was before. And I'm going to start holding that same G chord that I've been doing. I'm going to pluck my C and A together. So this is the Travis picking, and this is our melody. Now I'm going to continue doing this as I go through. I'm just also going to play the melody as I go with it. And this can make it kind of like a, tap your head, rub your tummy type of situation. It's like a puzzle for your fingers, but that's what makes it so satisfying to work with. So let's go ahead and learn this whole run. So we're going to start here with the 2 on the C and the 2 on the A, fretting the G chord, pluck those 2, play the 2 on the A again, pluck the 2 on the A and the 0 on the G now, and then the 2 on the A. Switch to the D chord, however you want to play it, whether it's the 1 finger or a 3-finger method. Play the 2 on the C and 0 on the A together, and then the 2 on the G and 0 on the A together. Now, if you're playing a high G ukulele like me, you'll notice these are the same notes. A low G, they'll be different, which can make the low G a cooler, different sound in this way. But that's okay that they're the same note. It's more about the pattern than it is anything else. And as you play through it, even though these are the same notes, it's still creating that illusion of this sort of bass line going through. So after this, we go to our E minor chord. We're going to go ahead and switch to the 0, 4, 3, 2, same way we played it before. We're going to pluck our C string, our bass note, and our E string, our melody note together with our thumb and index finger. Play open on the A, taking that index off. Then play 2 on the A with 0 on the G. Then play 3 on the E. Now we go to our C chord, all open in this case. We're going to play 0 on the C and 0 on the E together. Then we're going to play 2 on the E, and then 3 on the E and 0 on the A, 0 on the G, which you'll notice again is the same note. So this has happened a couple times, but that's one of the things about playing a 2-octave instrument is sometimes you'll have that doubling, and it's not about what's played in a moment, it's what's played over time to create the illusion of more instruments being played. Going into measure 11, we go back to our G chord, do the same sort of deal, but this is a little bit interesting. We're going to play the 2 on the C. Now, is that melody or is that Travis picking? Well, it's both. The melody is this low D note, and that's also the bass note that we're playing in this particular arrangement. And that's why it looks a little bit purple, because it's red and blue put together. And so we're going to play it very prominently melody note and know that it's serving 2 functions. Then we're going to play the open G and the 3 on the E, which are the same note. Then we're going to play 2 on the A. Then we stretch that pinky up to 5 on the A and we pluck that with the 2 on the C. If you're struggling getting that stretch, it's okay to take off the middle and ring fingers, but you really have to have that index finger here on 2 of the C to make sure you can play those 2 together. Then we're going to play open on the G with 5 on the A, and then 5 on the A again. And then on measure 12 here, we're going to switch to that D chord, bar all the way across the 2nd fret with our pinky finger here. We're going to play 2 on the C with the 5 on the A. Then we're going to move to the 3 on the A with the middle finger here, pluck the G and the A strings together. Then we're going to play 2 on the A, taking the middle finger off, making sure we're a complete bar right now. And then we're going to go to that other version of the D chord, either raising that finger off so the A string is open, or switching to the 3-finger method and play your C and A strings together. And then play just the G string. So there's a lot there, and we just worked through a lot of different music. But it should sound something like this when you put it all together. I'm going to play it really, really slow. Again, feel free to pause and practice a little bit before trying to play it with me. But I'd love for you to try. It should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Pretty cool, right? And you might even notice I made a little mistake there. I accidentally played a G string when I should have played a C. And that's not good, right? But it's what's kind of cool about this technique is you can mix it up a little bit as you're playing to create different sounds. As long as you kind of have the thumb alternating between things, sometimes it's okay to actually double up on one string and go back and forth to mix up the pattern. It's one of the things that can make this technique sound really awesome. Now, if you'd like to check out the full arrangement of this Waltzing Matilda, as well as download the tab, be sure to check out my Patreon page. All of that is linked down below. Now, this concept works beyond just this song, and that's what makes Travis picking such a flexible concept on the ukulele. As long as the song that you're playing is in 4/4, meaning you count 1, 2, 3, 4 per measure, and you have your thumb kind of bouncing back and forth between your G and C strings, or your G and C. If you're a low G player, you'll probably want to start with the low G string. As long as it's kind of going back and forth, you can utilize this technique and then use the other fingers to play different melody lines or chord tones as you're going through. There's all sorts of different cool things you can do, mixing up the orders, mixing up the different things to create your own unique sound with it. But at the end of the day, if you just practice getting that comfortable, you'll be working with Travis Picking and implementing it into all sorts of different arrangements and styles of playing. And there you have it. That's Travis Picking for the ukulele, how I like to adapt it. A huge shout out to all of my patrons over at patreon.com, because without their support, I wouldn't be able to do these videos. And actually, each month we do a different lesson based on suggestions of the patrons, and then we do a vote. This lesson actually won February 2023's vote, and I can't wait to see what next month holds. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down in the comments below, and I'll look forward to seeing you all for the next lesson. Thanks so much, and I hope Travis Picking serves you on your ukulele journey well. Take it easy.